have a blanket, as I always do. So I've got a blanket here. It's a big rectangle. It's just folded nearby for easy access. I have my cushions as usual. I've got 3 somewhat flat, somewhat small cushions that I use in varying ways. And then I've got a strap of some kind. So today I'm using like an athletic workout band, but what works well is a bathrobe tie or a belt or any other sort of like long string that's a bit soft that you could use. As always, these are just options. There's no need for you to use them if you don't want to use them. Let's get comfortable. So to start out, I want to share with you a position called constructive rest. If you are comfortable and are able to lay on your back with ease, please just pause and I'm going to show you constructive rest, and that might be your starting comfortable position. If you cannot lay comfortably on your back, then you're going to want to create a bit of a ramp once again, as we do every week, for you to be able to lay back but be lifted up. So just a quick recap on the ramp. So you're going to have 1 long cushion or 2 smaller cushions lengthwise, and then elevate the top where the head is going to go. And you can do this with multiple cushions, or you can do this with a blanket as well, whatever works best for the items that you have nearby. And then the bigger the cushions you have, the higher up you're going to be, so that will make it a little bit easier. You can adjust based on what you have available and what is around you. So here I have wiggled down so that my hips are at the ground, and then my low back is supported by the first cushion. My upper back and head are supported by the next 2 cushions, creating that elevation. Okay. So that is your basic position if you have difficulties laying flat for breathing. If you're good to go to lay on your back, then I'm going to go over constructive rest. This is one of my favorite poses, and I'm excited to share it with you. So let's start with this weird band or strap if you have it. So if you have something available, then we're going to bring it around your legs, around the thighs. So I'm going to slip mine over my legs. And we want to make it so that it's somewhat snug. And then slide something in between your knees to keep them hip distance apart. So I'm going to take my rolled up or folded up blanket and slide it in between the thighs, in between the knees, and then just adjust my strap so that it's flat. Nice and around here. Okay, so that's step 1. You might just take a moment to ask yourself how this is feeling for you once you have it there. And if you have a bit of an impulse to, or just a dislike for having something wrapped around your legs, get rid of it, skip it. Restorative yoga is really all about absolute comfort. So please listen to your body when it gives you those little signals and ignore any of the suggestions that I make that don't feel good for you. So step 1 would be to try out having something around your legs, decide how you feel, and have something in between. The purpose for this is that, I'm going to turn this way so you can actually see, so that my legs are held together, they can't really fall out. Okay? And then they also can't fall inwards because of the blanket in between the knees. So we stabilize our legs. Now I'm going to pile up these blankets and pillows. They're just pillows for me, so that they make a nice, high, flat surface for my legs to rest on. So I'm going to scoot close to them and place the legs over top. So now I've got a nice natural bend in the knees and support underneath of that bend. And this is our position for the legs. Now from here, I'm going to lower down to lay down on the mat. So bringing the hands behind you, making your hips comfortable, and then slowly rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae. And getting comfortable here.
When we first enter a pose, you want to take the first couple of minutes to just notice how it's feeling, to make any wiggles and adjustments. And then perhaps taking a few moments to notice and observe your experience. Our yoga practice is this beautiful opportunity for us to tune in to the experience that we're having without any judgment, just simply observation. You might notice the areas of your body that are calling out for your attention. You might notice areas of your body that are relaxed, open. Perhaps noticing all parts of your body that are connected to the ground or pillows. You might even begin to notice your breath and the natural rhythm of your breath today. Observing the flow of the inhale and the flow of the exhale. Noticing where the breath goes in the body. Allowing for each breath to gently lengthen. Encouraging your inhale to be long and smooth. And encouraging each exhale to be a little longer, a little smoother, and a little softer than the one before. And just continue to breathe in this way, encouraging each breath to be a little longer, a little smoother, a little softer than the breath before. And perhaps taking a moment to notice how your body is feeling after just a few cycles of breath. Notice your mind, emotions. Just remember that your breath is a tool that you can access anytime, anywhere. Now, continuing to focus on your breath, I'd like to share a little bit of information with you about the pose that we're in, the shape that we're in. In restorative yoga, we're always wanting to support our body as much as possible so that we can have that or that letting go feeling. So the more support, the better it is. Giving yourself the gift of comfort is the magic in restorative yoga. When we support our body, when we put in a comfortable position, it has the opportunity to let go of tension, allowing for more mobility, more movement, more flexibility, all those things. And in this shape in particular, I mentioned earlier that we are preventing our legs from falling out and falling in, and we're also creating a gentle bend in the knees. And all of this is to target one particular muscle, the iliopsoas muscle. And it's one of the most interesting muscles to me. So it is polyarticular, meaning it attaches at multiple different points. And for us, it attaches on our vertebrae, 5 different ones in particular. And then it wraps through our body from the back to the front. It behaves as one of our hip flexors and then attaches to that inner hip joint. It's pretty spectacular. One of the things that's interesting about this muscle is that it is constantly working to stabilize us. Even when we're sleeping, it prevents our legs from just flopping in a way that would injure us. It keeps them stable and in a place that is safe for us. When we walk, when we sit, when we move in any way, when we stand, our hip flexors are working. And this might be the first time in a long time that your hip flexors have had the opportunity to let go and rest. If you would like to give yourself a little self-massage, you can take your fingers on both hands, find your belly button, and then move about 2 inches out to the sides. And then you might slowly work your way down towards the hip bones, and just going as far as you feel comfortable. Maybe little pulses or presses, maybe long movements, and just giving yourself a little gentle massage. And deep underneath is our iliopsoas muscle. Perhaps recognizing all of the movements that you've done today. Maybe going for a bit of a walk, even if that's just around the house. Have you sat down? Have you stood for long periods of time? Just thinking about the movements that you've taken, and perhaps cultivating some gratitude for this iliopsoas muscle. All right, let's find our breath together. When you're ready, begin to breathe in. Hold the breath. Sip in a little bit more air. Hold it a little bit more in. And big exhale together. One more time, big breath in. Hold it, sip in a little bit more. Big exhale. Wonderful. Now, if you do not wish to move, You do not need to move. If you are ready for your next shape, we're going to be working with the shoulders. I just want to talk you through it first. Then I'll move to an upright position and demonstrate in an upright position what the arm is doing. If you have extra props, you might think about using them. You can try it first and then decide. I don't have a lot of extras around me, so I'm going to keep my legs as they are and then simply just do this pose with my arm. Okay? I'm going to use the left arm first with the hopes that you can see it best. So ever so slightly rolling over to the right side. So maybe bending the knees, planting the feet flat on the floor, pushing into my left foot so that my left shoulder can come off the ground. Here I'm going to take my hand and bring it back. Okay. Now, the palm is on the ground. And then we allow ourselves to lay back. This pose. You can move your hand higher up in between your shoulder blades to make the sensation a little louder. To lessen the intensity, then you can slowly move the hand down your spine, closer to your hips. Finding a position that feels good. So up in between the shoulders, anywhere along the spine. Finding a position that works for you. So now that you've seen me get into the shape on the floor, I'm going to just show you where my hand is on my back. So if you were to be able to see behind me, my hand is behind the back. Now the top of the hand is touching my back, the palm is on the ground. To get more intense, you reach up higher in between the shoulders. To get less intense, you slide it down the spine. Now for this shape, I am going to stay seated, but this is just so that I can observe and so that I can talk a little easier and really stay present with you. But please stay in the shape that you're most comfortable in. And you might just tune in to that experience in the shoulder and in the arm. Can you notice the origin, the beginning point of sensation? Can you follow the sensation and notice where it radiates to, where it spreads to? When you breathe deeply, how does it change or impact, or even does it? As you're in the shape, how does it feel to breathe deeply? To encourage each breath to be a little longer, a little slower, and a little smoother than the breath before. As you breathe, can you allow your belly to expand? Your rib cage and your chest. As you breathe out, can you feel a drawing together of the chest, ribs, and belly?
Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. I'm going to offer you a little bit of silence. You'll hear my voice come back in about 2 minutes. Remember that if you do not wish to move, you don't need to move. If you're ready to transition, you might begin by taking a big breath in and a big sigh out. Maybe moving your jaw a little side to side. And then bringing your feet to the floor. And gently leaning over to your right side so that you can take out your left hand from behind your back. And just pausing here. Just noticing the sensations in the body as you return that arm back to a neutral position. Breathing. Observing and getting curious. We'll do it again on the right side. So now this time, you're going to lean a little bit over to the left, lift your right shoulder off the mat so that you can find your right hand underneath of your back. Now, the higher up your hand is up the spine, in between the shoulder blades, the more intense the sensation is going to be. The lower the hand moves, the less intense the sensation will be. Once you find a position that feels good, you can lay comfortably on your back. Breathing here. I'm going to approach the screen and just check on all of you. Breathing as you are. Perhaps comparing this side to the previous side. Noticing if it feels similar or different. Noticing the loudest part of the sensation, following the radiant sensation. observing your experience. Our breath is this incredible tool. You might notice that some techniques encourage a sense of calm and relaxation in your body, while other techniques in other classes might make you feel a little more energized. The best thing about your breath is that you always have it. Whether you're out for a walk, at an appointment, in the grocery store, your breath is always there, always available to you. You might try taking a few 3-part breaths, focusing on breathing into your low belly, rib cage, lifting your chest, and then exhaling, emptying your chest, ribs and belly. Breathing in belly, ribs, chest. Breathing out, chest, ribs, belly. Now you get to decide where to focus your mind. You might choose to continue to focus on your breath or sensation or anything else. And know that you'll hear my voice come back in about 2 minutes. Perhaps taking a big breath in and a big breath out. And when you're ready, and only if you want to, slowly leaning over to your left side to remove your right hand out from underneath of your back. And just taking a few moments. Maybe resting your hands beside your body or on top of your body. And to notice the sensations here.
the remnants of the shapes. And to perhaps notice how you felt before and compare it to how you're feeling now. Learning how to have constant curiosity. And when you're ready, only if you're ready, I'm going to share with you our next shape. This one involves a little more setup, and then we'll be slowing it down for the rest of our practice. Remember that if you do not wish to move, you do not need to move. I'm going to gently roll to one of my sides and extra slowly press all the way up. Just pause when you get to the top, giving yourself some time to adjust. Okay. You're going to do a little bit of setup with a blanket. A little bit of setup with a blanket. So if you have a blanket, we're going to create this long rectangle. I've got a very long rectangle. It'll work. So a long rectangle. And then simply roll it up so that you just have like a long roll. It's kind of tough with a white blanket. So a long roll. This is going to be for underneath of your spine. Remember, today's flow is all up at the shoulders. We did a bit of a shoulder and arm opener previously. Now, if you have a blanket like mine where it's actually like the roll is extremely long, then you're going to have one end down here for where your hips are going to scoot against, and the other end can even fold up underneath of itself to elevate your head a little bit. Now, if you are elevated, like on a ramp, you can do this on top of the pillow ramp that you've created. Now, this is what we need for our upper body. You can do it by folding or rolling up your yoga mat, folding or rolling up a sweater if you don't have a blanket. This isn't really a shape that's easily done without any props. So it's best done with props. If you only have a small pillow, you could try folding it in half and using a small pillow. That's an alternative. So let's talk about our legs for a moment. You can do whatever you want with the legs. You can keep them in that constructive rest position if you liked that. You can stretch them out if you want to, with or without props. A usual favorite amongst a lot of my students is a pose called Baddha Konasana, or butterfly legs. I'm just going to show you. You can try it out, decide whether or not you like it. So with Supta Baddha Konasana, Supta means that we're laying on our back, that we're reclined. Baddha Konasana means bound ankle pose, actually, but we call it butterfly in English. You would bring the soles of your feet to touch, and then your knees kind of wing out to the side. So that's where the imagination comes in, like a butterfly. I always have something underneath of the thighs. So in a restorative pose, I'd actually encourage you to fold up the pillows so that they're higher than what they need to be, and then prop up the legs. Because the whole idea behind restorative is that you give your body more support than what it needs so that it can become heavy and relax into the support. So this is just one option for your legs. You can try it out.
decide if you like it. You can always skip it and move into a more comfortable position if you don't like it. Now I've got this blanket scooted right up against my hips. So my sit bones, my bum is on the ground, and then the blanket is right next to the hips. And it's going lengthwise along the spine, and then you can slowly lower yourself down along the spine. I folded up the end of my blanket so that my head is a little higher, a little more elevated, and I find that extremely comfortable. And make any and all adjustments first to your legs. And then notice your lower back. Maybe you would like a little more support. You want to slide extra cushions under. Maybe you want to take away some things. And then when you get to the upper back, let's tuck one shoulder blade under and then the other. Now you're welcome to keep your hands on your body or just stretch them out to the sides. Breathing here. Inviting in your first long, slow, deep breath. Now, once again, you have choice in what to do with your mind. It's natural for thoughts to drift in. The key is learning how to let go of them or let them drift away as quickly as they come. I find this technique called labeling really, really helpful, but it's just what works for me, and so I'm going to share it with you. You can try it. It might work well for you, it might not. And if I'm being honest, it was actually really hard when I first started, but it's gotten easier and I really like it nowadays. The whole idea is that the moment you realize you're caught up in a thought, you give it a very general label. Take a breath in and a breath out, and just let it go. When you label it, it helps you detach so that you can let go of the thought more quickly. So for example, my mind might wander away and get really preoccupied with creating a grocery list or a to-do list. And then I might say to myself, planning. Giving those thoughts the category planning. Taking a breath in and a breath out. And then moving back to the present moment. Taking in every bit of everything. Now, in between letting go of thoughts, you might just focus on your breath. One of my favorite breath techniques is called a centering breath. We take a long, slow, deep breath in, hold it, sip in a little bit more. Big exhale. And now just allow yourself to take a few breaths. You can continue to take a few breath cycles just like that. Breathing in deeply. Sipping in a little bit more air, a little bit more.
And then big exhale. Allowing for a few natural breaths. And doing it all again. Taking a full big breath in. And a big sigh out. And allowing for a few cycle of breaths to occur. Remembering that if you do not wish to move, you do not need to move. If you are in a butterfly legs and you're ready to transition to a more comfortable position, you might begin by bringing your knees up towards the ceiling, feet flat on the floor. You might even draw your feet out a little wider and then allow your knees to fall in towards one another, doing the exact opposite of what they just did. Taking a full breath in and a big breath out. Now for removing the blanket underneath of your spine, I'm going to encourage you to just roll to your right or left side and then take out that blanket from underneath of your back. And then coming to lay on your back. So I always like to have things underneath of the legs. You might stack up many pillows. You might slide your blanket underneath by getting comfortable. So you can stack pillows for comfort. You can guide another pillow under your head. And know that your body often cools down during relaxation. So this is a good time to pop on a sweater, put on some socks, make any of those little adjustments. Grab a blanket and spread it out over your body. And getting comfy. Now, often our hands go to an area of our body that our body is asking for more support in. For me, that's been the abdomen. So I'm going to show you what it would look like to give a little more support. So I'm going to place a blanket around my abdomen and then just tuck it in nice and firm underneath of me. We're wrapping the blanket nice and tight around the body, tucking it in, and then allowing the hands to relax open. Now, getting the neck and shoulders comfortable, you might kind of lift up, tuck the left shoulder blade under, and then lift and tuck the right shoulder blade under. Now take your fingertips, guiding them to the back of your neck, running them along the muscles beside the spine, from the shoulders up to the base of the head, tucking your chin, and then lowering the back of the head onto the pillow and stretching your arms out. Great. And take a big breath in and a big breath out. Now, asking yourself, if you could be 1% more comfortable, what would you do? What would you change? And then give yourself that gift. Now I'm going to be moving to a seated position, but I really want to encourage you to stay in your comfortable position. Now today, for our final resting pose, I'd like to offer you the opportunity to explore some opposites. So perhaps imagining and using your imagination to imagine sun beating down on your body and warmth throughout the whole body. And then opposite, imagining being outside in wintertime without enough clothing, without enough jacket, and that little chill on the arms and the skin, chill throughout the whole body. And perhaps allowing yourself to feel a little chilled. And then tuning in to the experience that you're having right now. Are there areas of your body that are warmer or cooler than others? Would you like to give yourself a little extra of anything? And then exploring what it would be like to imagine your body becoming light off the ground, as if you could float away from the floor, becoming lighter and lighter, almost weightless. And then giving yourself the opportunity to imagine your body getting heavier, allowing the body to become a little heavier, and a little heavier. Giving yourself the opportunity to really melt and become heavy into the ground, into your pillows.
and allowing yourself to let go of any tension in the body. Perhaps scanning your body from your toes to the crown of your head. Consciously relaxing each part of the body, the toes, feet, ankles, lower legs, knees, thighs, glutes, hips, low back, mid back, upper back, relaxing your shoulders, neck, scalp, forehead, jaw, breathing here and just allowing yourself to surrender. Giving yourself the gift of rest. And just like earlier, you might notice thoughts drifting in, and that's normal and it's okay. Just starting to detach from those thoughts. You'll hear my voice come back in about 3 minutes. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Maybe wiggle your jaw side to side. Remembering everything that I say is entirely optional. So if you do not wish to move, you do not need to move. If you would like to be slowly guided back into your space, right, just wiggle your jaw a little side to side. Maybe rock your head from one side to the next. And eventually stretch your arms up over your head, taking a little pencil stretch. Stretching out your legs. I always like to blink quite a few times before committing to keeping my eyes opened. You can take a few more deep breaths here. And then rolling to your right or left side and pausing there. And just checking in with your overall feeling in your body. Noticing how you're feeling in your body, mind, and emotions. And if this is an experience you'd like to take with you in the rest of your day, you might try to label it in one word. Relaxed, calm, peace. Those are some examples. And then repeat that phrase to yourself several times. And if it's not an experience you want to keep, you can just take a breath in and a breath out, letting it go. And whenever you'd like, you can slowly press yourself up to seated. And guiding your hands into a gesture of completion. That might just be resting on your legs or something that connects you to your heritage. Today I'm going to take Anjali Mudra, pressing my hands together in front of my heart, representing gratitude. It's been my absolute pleasure and honor to guide you through your practice. Namaste. I'm going to be approaching the screen now. You're welcome. Bye guys, take care. You're so welcome. Good, I'm so glad. You're welcome. You're so welcome, you guys. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Bye guys.